My family was called upon to talk and reminisce on the life and love of my husband, father, and founder of KYES. Andy worked and purchased WJON, WWJO 50 years ago, but his greatest love was Christian and Catholic radio. And after hearing a talk Catholic station with relevant programming, Andy knew that this is what he wanted in central Minnesota.
My goodness, you have a great station. Congratulations to you, to the Diocese of St. Cloud, and all the people at KYES for somehow figuring out how to put a 50,000 watt AM station booming across central Minnesota to bring Catholic radio, relevant radio to so many people out there. As I told you before, 3 years ago when I was there, you have the makings of a great station. First, you have a great signal. There aren't many AM 50,000 watt stations in this country, and you have one of them. Second, you've got great programming. I don't say that just because I'm the executive director of Relevant Radio, but we know that people listen to this, they love it, and they stick with it. And third, you've got great local support. What a great team you have there at KYES.
So reading and structuring his ideas, he set forth a vehicle of how he could do this, and he called it that Throw Fire Project.
The Throw Fire Project was the name of our nonprofit organization. It had a Bible base. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 49, Jesus says, "I've come to throw fire on the earth, and how I wish it was already blazing."
It's no coincidence. Andy was preparing for heaven. His last day on earth was Sunday, August 18th. The gospel read that Sunday was the reading of Throw Fire. Andy was doing and fulfilled God's work on earth, a radio station that would evangelize for all. We know from this gospel that Christ was talking about evangelization.
And Pope Benedict XVI sees many challenges in our world and our lives, but none can be solved unless God is put at the center, visible to the world, and that we each enkindle fire in our hearts, aflame with love. The Pope says God enters the world through us. So it's a big challenge and a big job.
Great to be here. I am super impressed. And I got to say that when I walked in here and I saw the size of this room, I was really struck. I've done a lot of events recently, and this is really amazing. I didn't expect it in St. Cloud, and I think it speaks volumes about all of you. I mean, we're here for a common reason. We believe in the importance of Catholic evangelization, and you're here to support that. And I just want to thank you for, first of all, allowing me to be here. I want to thank everyone at KYES who put this event on and who have made such great sacrifices to make sure that Catholic evangelization has a voice.
I think many of us, when we think about relevant radio, we think about KS, we think about the great teaching that goes on. I hear from many people about how they've learned our faith through listening to the radio. It happens over and over with many, many different people. I'm so grateful for KS and Relevant Radio, how it reaches out into central Minnesota, and it makes a difference. I'm very proud to be a witness of it and a supporter of it.
Well, I'm Julie Ruck from St. Wendell and belong to St. Columkille Parish. I'm married and I have two wonderful girls, ages 8 and 10. My whole experience with KYES started when my girls started attending school. I wasn't used to the quietness I had at home on days I did not work. Yes, like any mother, you have 1,000 things to do and to work on. But the loneliness I felt in my heart with no kids at home really drew tears to this mommy's eyes. I needed direction. I learned from young on, growing up in a very Catholic household, to keep religion strong and rely on your faith to get you through the tough times. I realized I needed God stronger in my heart. My mom was occasionally telling me about a Catholic radio station, but I always nodded my head, acknowledging that she's talking, but did I really listen? Well, I guess this time I did. Because I actually turned the radio on to KYES on the first day of school. I was curious, but was amazed that I was learning something. Some things were new and some things were different that I was picking up about the Catholic faith that first day of tuning in. I grew up going to church weekly and attending religion classes, so I thought I knew all that I was supposed to about the faith. Boy, I guess I didn't. Listening to Go Ask Your Father really caught my attention the first few days listening. At that time, it was Father Rocky, Father Richard Simon, Reverend Know-It-All, and Monsignor Stuart Swetland. Callers had questions. At times, I was actually wondering the same things. It was reassuring to hear others calling in. Then, On Call with Wendy Weiss struck another great interest. She had my complete attention with some of the specialized medical doctors as well as therapists that gave their insight on how to treat certain issues, problems, with a faith-based perspective. I'm in the medical field myself, so I listen and pay closer attention when medicine is involved. Now, early on, this was the next in line of what I liked about KYES and Relevant Radio, but now it's been my absolute favorite, and that is the Drew Mariani Show. No, I'm not just saying that because Drew's here tonight. My heart really gets touched and at times torn by the powerful topics and current issues Drew digs deep into. I admire Drew's remarkable effort to keep listeners up to date on the latest news. And the Hour of Power with the Chaplet of Divine Mercy at times brings tears to my eyes. The depth and power of praying this chaplet and seeing the profound healing that occurs is remarkable. Drew, you go above and beyond with every person's intention. Thank you for putting your heart and soul into Relevant Radio. You have touched so many people than you can imagine. And I also want to take a moment to acknowledge Glenn Leverance on KYES and how much I enjoy listening to him talk to some of the local priests. I especially tune into Fridays to hear our own Father Gregory Masty, who presides in the Holdingford cluster. With all this said and done, my heart has opened up to a whole new level of understanding of the Catholic faith. I now attend daily Mass when I can. I teach religion, and I participate more with Mass now. I thank KYES Relevant Radio for making a difference in my life. Thank you.
People tell me that their number one testimony is, I've never learned so much about my Catholic faith. It doesn't matter if they're young or old, rich or poor, male or female, well-educated or hardly educated at all. Everyone says the same thing. They've never learned so much. And I think the reason is because when they start listening, they're listening 5 or 6 hours a week. And so that good information builds up over time. I know some priests in Chicago as well as in Milwaukee and other parts around the country, and they'll tell me, you know, people, when they come to confession, I ask them, well, why did you come back to confession? And they'll say, I heard something on Relevant Radio. To me, that's the biggest payoff. What we're doing is we're helping the church. You know, when Relevant Radio is really humming in your area, you should see more participation in the sacraments. You should see more marriages. You should see fewer divorces. But it's a long process. There's a lot of work to be done. But we have to get out there and spread the message. That's what Jesus said. He sent out the disciples 2 by 2 out into all the villages in town. Little by little, that's what we're doing with Catholic Radio, Relevant Radio, with KYES across the country. I tell people wherever I go that in terms of radio, I've never found anything as effective to evangelize. Look, folks, I've been working for the church since I was 17 or 18 years old. I've worked in schools, I've worked in camps, I've worked in third world situations, all sorts of different ministries. I've never found anything as effective as the radio for changing hearts and forming minds. And I think the reason is because the listener is in control of the conversation. The listener never feels threatened. The listener never feels put on the spot. So it's enormously effective for spreading the word of Christ to so many souls.
This person writes to me, Drew, as the addressed envelope states, I'm an incarcerated inmate. 2 months ago, I came across your station with great excitement. And this outlet has brought me back to the Catholic Church, even making it to confession. This week, I'll have an opportunity to partake in the Eucharist, for which I'm both thankful and grateful, and I owe it all to Catholic radio. There was a great apostasy on my part due to ignorance and lack of faith. Because of the 3 p.m. hour in Divine Mercy Chapel, I've returned to the Catholic faith. For 30 years, I've been addicted to drugs and to alcohol and to pornography. I now feel an overwhelming sense of regeneration and zeal. I want to thank you and everyone for making Catholic radio possible. And folks, we all share in the merits of this. All of us. Everybody who supports Catholic radio. Everybody here tonight. You made that possible. And we'll never know the impact that we are having on souls. Whether we stand behind a microphone, whether we write a check to make sure that it's on, or whether we just simply pray for the efforts of evangelization and those who are involved in it, those who are on the front lines. We won't know until we stand before God one day as a naked soul and we are evaluated and we are judged. And then you're going to see the ripple effect of your charity and of your sacrifice and of your suffering. You will see that then. And I think the souls are going to be numerous. And they're going to weigh heavily, I think, in your eternal evaluation. The Archbishop, or actually the Cardinal of New York City, Timothy Dolan, he once said to me something that's always reverberated with me. In these times where there's so much tumult, where there's so much spiritual confusion, where immorality seems to be rising like never before, he said, Drew, Catholic radio in this country is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Catholic radio is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And it's a message re-echoed, of course, after John Paul II. He said, that every Christian has a duty to evangelize our society. It's not enough to know Christ. You have to introduce him to others.
I think people should get involved in this project for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're all called to evangelize. We're given this opportunity with this project. Number two, we all have different things that we can bring. Time, talent, treasure. It's all important. Whether it be your time, whether it be your talent, whether it be your treasure. That's up to you, but they're all important.